I'll just go to 6. All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Brian McLogan, and this is week number 113, Open Live Q&A. Thank you so much, guys, for joining in this evening. A couple things that I wanted to cover with you guys is definitely for this is, talk to you a little bit about something that I had inside the classroom that, one thing that always reminded me when I, was dressing up, and that was kind of the purpose. And I wanted to get to that. So I'll talk to you guys about my dressing up style and kind of my thought process on that. And then in addition to that, what I also like to go over is obviously the questions that you guys submit. So just a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, there's actually a lot that's going on this week. Is just a reminder, if you have any math questions that you need help with, I got to be able to get my things back in. Just remember, guys, you can also go to, for all your questions, feel free to go to, let's go ahead and put that in there right there, brianmclogan.com/Q&A. So when we do get to the questions, the math questions, I usually like to, spend about, maybe like in 20-30 minutes for those questions for students that have gone there and submitted their questions. You guys can always submit questions in the chat, and hopefully you guys can help each other out with the chat. But I'm not always going to be able to get to everybody's questions inside of the chat. And I typically like to just focus on questions that have been submitted, so I have time to like look at them, review them, and then I can easily go ahead and copy and paste them over here. In addition to that, also, if I don't get your question, which is possible, I'm not going to get to everybody's question, then just a reminder, you guys can also go ahead and check out the Discord server and go ahead and check that out. The links, guys, are also in the description, so don't feel free to go onto that. So also, guys, you can always get help at the Discord server. But the one main thing I want to tell you guys about is definitely the main thing that's going on starting on, Tuesday, is the 30-day math challenge. So I have opened up 3 new classes. I don't know why I did this. This is going to take me way longer than I want to, because I've curated the problems, I have to copy and paste all the links into the emails. I have to make the videos. And I don't even put them on YouTube. So they're like private emails that I'm doing for you guys. So hopefully this is going to be beneficial for you if you are in Algebra 1, Algebra 2, geometry, pre-calculus, or calculus. I have basically created a email chain that basically sends you a email for every day during March that's going to send you a problem. Now, again, guys, it's free, and you're not forced to do it. It's just a way to kind of help you start preparing for, remembering the stuff that you should know in those particular classes. So if you are taking pre-calculus and you want to maybe a quick review of Algebra 1 and geometry, well then, hey, you can join as many challenges as you physically want. But I think it's important just to at least have one challenge where it's very simple. I mean, one problem. Some of the problems you can do in your head. Some of the problems, might take you a minute. They're not really designed to be the most challenging problems, nor the most basic problems. The whole idea of this challenge is just to make sure you can do a problem every single day. And I think that's really important for a lot of people. Life gets in the way, we get busy. But if you can just kind of focus on like, hey, I'm going to complete a math problem every single day, that's, I think, will hopefully set you guys up for some success as you guys start getting closer into exam season and preparing. Because obviously when you are studying for a course, you're going to want to be doing more than one problem a day. But I think just setting aside that time is going to be very beneficial for you guys. Also, I was going through all this stuff and I was like, holy crap, I completely forgot about the pre-calculus live stream. So that is going to be going in on Wednesday this week. So for those of you that are in pre-calculus, I have opened up another slot where we do a kind of live stream like this, but it's on Google Meet. So it's a little bit more like personal style. You can, kind of ask questions in real time, and, you can pre-submit questions, which I always recommend students doing. So therefore I can prepare for the questions. But if you don't have time to pre-submit the questions, or just a question comes up, then you can definitely ask questions during that time as well. So that is it from all of there. Let's go ahead and see who you guys have. So hello, Mary. Good to have you on. Harsh says, why don't you make long videos on math topics like trigonometry or calculus? Well, I do have actually some videos that are really, really long on trigonometry, not so much on calculus, but I do have some. I just like majority of the problems or videos I don't like to talk for like such a very, very long time. And I think it's also just boring to either try to learn that way. So I do have some videos where, I try to cover a whole bunch of content in one video, but I try to kind of stay away from doing those. I like to more likely to kind of get right to the point on a lot of problems like that. So I'll get to that. And then challenge, you guys can see all that stuff should be in the description. Actually, let me check. Did I put that in the description? I think I did. I think I put my description. Yeah, join the 30-day math challenge. Awesome. And let's go and put something here. Let's do, I think it was the green book, wasn't it? I guess not. Where's those books? Oh man, that's gonna be annoying. Let's go and find them in on there. Come on. Not to the flags, went too far. There they are. Green book. Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you, Jared. Well, thank you, Tamina. I appreciate that. What is linear algebra, and is it taught in grade 12 advanced functions? Well, maybe a subset of the linear algebra. So typically linear algebra is going to be dealing with your studies of like vectors and matrices. So I don't know what grade 12 advanced functions all encompasses, because obviously that's not a course that I teach. But I do believe it's very similar with pre-calculus. And when I took pre-calculus, we did some like linear algebra, linear algebra content. So I could definitely assume that, not assume, but I could definitely say that yes, it's definitely possible that you could have some linear algebra content for that course. And what grade is pre-calculus? That's very interesting. So because I basically, as a teacher, I had students that were in 10th grade taking pre-calculus all the way up through seniors. So I don't really think it's as much as a grade, which I think math really should, which is really important because I don't think math should be like a grade. So, that is something that, go through. But I would say, typically it can be taught in a high school course. I also took it in college course, right? And a lot of students, take it in from there as well. And hey, Christy, good to have you on. I lack confidence in a lot of things. Recently, I feel like I messed up on my math test. Okay, well, hold on. Why am I getting to all my math questions? All right, so let's go ahead. And before I get into the math question, guys, hello, all of you. And yes, so let me go ahead and get into the topic of this live stream, and then I'll get into some of your guys' questions in on the stream. So why did I dress up every single day in school? Now, obviously, I didn't dress up every single day. There was obviously, days that we, there'd be like superlative week, not superlative week, but like spirit week, or we would have at the end of the year, I'd always wear a t-shirt, and that was always my fun thing. But the one thing that I always told my students was, hey, you're never going to see my forearms for the whole year. And it's true. I don't have any tattoos on my forearms, though, I swear. But the reason why it was really important to me is I always just kind of felt like when I wore a dress shirt and dress pants, that kind of put me in a different mindset when I came into school. And in my younger days as a teacher, I kind of needed that because obviously, when you're 21 years old or 22 years old, and you might have high schoolers around there, like that's only, 3 to 4 years of difference. So there's not that much to get, there's not that much of a gap there, right? You really got to make sure that you are showing that kind of, authority figure that you are. And however, it wasn't just, around that. I really do believe that, I was always preparing and entering into the teaching profession as, it was my job. And this is something my profession that I was taking very, very, seriously. It was not just, just showing up. When a lot of times in my class, I'd be very relaxed, right? And very relaxed and, kind of like I always like to joke fun and, have fun with my students. But I always wanted them to look at me and to view me, yes, as like a, kind of like a friendly teacher, and I'm kind of there to help them learn and help them be successful. But also there as the teacher, right? And as somebody to kind of look up to, and also as like a role model. And all of this really kind of stemmed through, I talked about this in my email, but it was really funny. So back in the day, 7th grade, I had long hair. I used to dye it Cinnaberry, which was the name of the dye. And it was kind of like a red auburn kind of color. So yes, I had long hair like down here. I would dye it red for whatever reason. And then I also used to wear dress pants and dress shirts. They'd be untucked. And then I'd wear like, I don't know, skater shoes because I would used to skateboard in 7th grade. So, have like some Vans or some Etnies. Was that the brand? I think so, maybe. So yeah, that was kind of like my thing. And I remember one time going to the dentist, and the dentist said, oh, you dress up very well. And I'm like, oh, well, thank you. Because I did kind of look decently, wearing legit dress pants and dress shirts. I just wore them untucked and kind of baggy. And the one thing he kind of mentioned which was actually always stuck to me is, dress good, feel good, do good, or act good. One of the two. I can't remember what it was. And it kind of like stuck with me because, as I as I became a teacher, one of those things I was going to do is like, hey, I always want to dress as a professional. I always want to dress that the way I want to feel. And, I wanted to, feel as far as like putting in always my best foot forward for my students, as well as, for teachers walking into the classroom. And that was just something I believed in. And it was amazing that, that also kind of put me in this little mindset that, as I was the teacher, I was always acting as the professional. Right. And again, a lot of times when teaching, students can get on your skin and, you can be kind of thrown away. And so I think it was just kind of always helpful to have that perception of me. And I actually did get complimented a couple of times from students that I remember that I was like, oh, thank you so much for always dressing up. It was really weird. A random student, it wasn't even my student, just like a kid stopped me in class. But the one thing that has, brought me into that, and what I've kind of come full circle is, that I think is important for you guys is not so much about dressing up. I think everybody kind of has their own ways to be able to put themselves in that mindset and kind of stand up. But I think it really is important that you think about how you show up for whatever you plan on doing. And, when you just walking into class, not just like, oh, slumping down, shoulders dragged down, like sitting there, wearing your pajamas or, wearing something like, you're not going to be in that mindset of learning. You're not going to be in that mindset of like, I am here, is my intention to do the best that I need to be doing in this class, right? So I'm not saying you need to wear a suit to class. I'm not saying you really need to wear really nice clothes, but I think you need to be mindful of when you are approaching things and when you're going to be meeting with people and doing things like how you look and how you take care of yourself is going to be something that is going to permeate out there. And so it's, it's something that changes your mind. It puts you in a different frame of mind when you put attention into those little things. And I think that's one of the big things that, I kind of found like those little attention to details, just even on your appearance, that's going to apply to your mathematics, right? When you put attention and you put effort into, doing things like that, you're going to put attention and effort into your mathematics as well. And that is one thing that I think that all of you can kind of come away from this is not just haphazardly going through the motions. And I think that's one of the things that a lot of times students kind of, they realize is, hey, I'm struggling with mathematics. Well, it's like, well, how, what effort are you putting into the math? Oh, I'm studying, I'm doing my homework. Well, yeah, it's like, how are you approaching this? Are you approaching this of like, I'm just going to sit down now, I'm going to do my homework, watch TV, get distracted, or it's like you really put in the mindset, you have this intention of like, I am going to dismantle this class and learn everything I can. And I'm going to look good, feel good, act good, and study good. And I have the intention of doing my absolute best here. And I think there's a different mindset and framework that you can put your brain in to when you are approaching not only just a math class, but really anything, and one thing, just a quick little side note, because this kind of reminded me of another thing is I remember when I was doing a real estate course, they were talking about one guy was talking to a buyer, or somebody on the phone or a real estate agent. And then he goes into the bathroom and is like using the restroom while still talking on the phone. And, the one guy was saying, it's like, you got to imagine, how important is that other person on the other side of the loan? Like that you can't even like say, hey, let me call you back, or, let me give you your full attention on. And, in the real estate game, like you want to make sure you're always serving those people. You always want to be making sure you're giving them your full attention and, you are servicing, those clients and customers. And I think that's kind of the same thing when you guys are going into your class, right? Or you're going to school, college, courses, studying for things like that needs to be your main focus. That needs to be what you are, what your focus is on. And if you are not going to give it the time of the day, and again, even to, give it some nice dress up, like, hey, I am going to take on this class. I'm going to take on this day. Right? It can even just be the day. Like I am taking on this day. I am going to be successful. I am going to put in my best effort. I am going to be focused and attentive on how I'm going to do that. That makes an impact. That changes your day. That changes the framework of how your day is going to go. And it's not every day and not everything, but I think that if you can if this can maybe adjust your thinking a little bit on that, I think you guys might see some differences or some changes in your results. So that's really what I want to talk with you. And from things, really, well, hey, Josh, good to have you on. Can you please show us how to do slope midpoint? Oh, Actually, I was Josh. I actually had another student from there. But yeah, any questions that you guys do have, feel free, again, if you guys do have questions, best place to go is to brianmclogan.com/Q&A. I'll try to do my best, but yeah, I have a ton of that stuff on playlists as well for you. So thank you so much, AT. Yeah. Do you want the formula for distance? Yeah, you can just do the distance formula or whatever else on there. But I will just kind of answer some questions here for probably, I don't know, next maybe like 10 more minutes. And then if you guys, whatever questions have been submitted, then I'll get into you guys for on that. Ron says, are there cosine and sine or tangent or cosecant or secant equations that cannot be graphed by hand and need technology? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, typically you'll see the equations when we have transformations or anything else are in terms of like the, pi halves, pi over 6, pi over 4 and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, if you have points that are not going to be found on a coordinate grid, just like linear equations, we have linear equations that are very difficult to graph, right? So yeah, any equation can be messed up, so it's not going to be easy to graph. Epra is, I do not know anything about the UK A level. Sorry. Yeah, I find I can de-stress, but then right before the presentation, I tense up and start to shake. Yeah, I think one thing you should probably look into is like some breathing techniques, and look in some ways to just take some big breaths, close your eyes. And, I'm not a master of it, but I'm sure there's some, some other ways that you can kind of like get yourself prepared and under controlled as you're getting close to things. Is Canadian math harder than American math for grade 9? I have absolutely no idea. And I think also, even when you're dealing with like, I'm not sure about Canada, but like even the American school system, like grade 9 in different school systems can be completely different, or in different states and stuff like that. So there's a very wide, that's a very like, we are, even though we do try to be like as on the same page, it's definitely not so. And hey, actually, how are you? You can submit it to, I'm not sure what the heck that was from in there. All right. Well, it's kind of interesting. Cool. Well, if you guys have any other questions, again, just a reminder. Oh, and I forgot too, just a reminder, guys, too. Also, we'll do a tutoring at, I don't know, maybe 10 o'clock. If we get to that long, I don't know. I don't really have that many math problems. So if you guys have not already gone to brianmclogan.com/Q&A, then you guys can submit your questions over there. Otherwise, I will answer the questions that I have for you. And yeah, we'll do a live stream from last week. And then do live stream last week. And then also remember the challenge, the 30-day challenge, guys. If you have not already joined the 30-day challenge, then you should definitely go ahead and do that. Oh, no. Where did I put that? Piece exam, not that one. Not that one. Crap, did I get rid of it? Oh, there it is. So just remember, guys, if you have not already gone to the math challenge, go ahead and check it out. It's free, 30 days. Good for you. And then also for pre-calculus students, I'm doing my midweek live stream as well for you guys. I saw one of your videos. The students click you out from the class. Was that true? I think it was probably the one where the students like knocked me out. And yes, that was true. It was supposed to be a parody video, which I mean, it was, but they was actually supposed to do the Harlem Shake and they never did it. They just, and I don't know why I still uploaded it, but I did. Well, awesome. Very happy to help. Not so much. I mean, I do like some algebra, pre-algebra, kind of stuff, depending on what you're taking in 8th grade math. But I do not do like tutoring. I just kind of focus on my videos. And hey, Mo, good to have you on. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Cameron. Yes, torturing. Yeah, I guess we could all call a little bit of mathematics some torturing from time to time, right? So I had a math test on factoring and I thought I did well, but I checked over the test and for a while, yeah, feel this, I got a C. Do you have any tips on scoring higher on a test? Practice. Like, so go back to your test. Like, this is very important. So you got a bad grade, right? Or at least a grade that you didn't expect or didn't like, right? So go back and redo those problems that you got wrong, right? Become obsessed of why you got those problems wrong and figure it out. Now, as far as preparing for the next test that you're going to have, the main thing is like practicing, over practice. It's like, that's the one thing is like, you thought you knew what you're doing, but obviously there were some mistakes or some things that happened that show that you didn't. So make sure that you are, make sure that you are continually putting in the work, practicing, reviewing, maybe do like some mock tests, like mock quizzes, get some problems at the end of the book or something else, cover up the answer, try to do them and see how well you do, right? Maybe sometimes a lot of times also students actually do know what they're doing, but then what happens is they come under pressure, right? From the test or the quiz and they got the stress and whatever, and then they don't do as well. So maybe try to try to create that on your own if you can. We'll get into there. All right. When can we use you can use the Pythagorean theorem if you want to be able to find right angles, Actually, I had one of my friends who was they were trying to create something or create a right angle, and they actually used the Pythagorean theorem for that. So, there's many, and obviously it's not so much the Pythagorean theorem that's important, but that's the Pythagorean relationship, which there's a lot of really cool, like it actually expands more than just like three sides of a triangle. So I don't have time to kind of go in from here, but it's definitely some really, really cool things we can really expand upon knowing that Pythagorean relationship. And hey, Madro, good to have you on. Yep, I'm feeling that. I think probably, I don't really know anything from that. I think the best thing is, the teacher, sometimes I would get upset from students if either they were asking a question at the inappropriate time, or maybe something I had already said and whatever may be the case, I don't know. I think one of the best things though, if you're not getting the response to them, then maybe it's the environment. Maybe if you're asking questions in class, then maybe they're getting frustrated from you for some other reason, right? So maybe see if you can find some time outside of class and, kind of approach them in a different scenario and be like, hey, here's some of the questions I had. And, if they still kind of seem upset, maybe you can like pry into that a little bit. Like, hey, you feel like you don't want to help me or whatever else, like what would you like me to do? Or how can I get my questions answered? And maybe in that scenario, they might be able to open up. Whereas in front of the students, they might respond differently. So maybe you can get a little personal time and kind of go from there. And obviously, of course, I enjoyed being a teacher. Yes, very much. Yes, know the difference of when to use substitution versus when to use elimination. I think that will be very helpful. I have absolutely no idea. Definitely go and check with your teacher on what's going to be in the exam and what you need to look at. Ali, my teacher's bad. What do? I don't want to get dropped from honors. Find a group of students that are in the class, right? And work together. I've had many students. I remember that, if they start struggling, sometimes you have like a new teacher or whatever else, like get with other students, and create your own little group that you guys can kind of work with and help each other out on. I think that might be something helpful. And hey, Araf, good to have you on. The problem is the teacher doesn't want to give us time to answer my question after time. All the teacher thinks is going on. Yeah, it's not like I agree with it, but I can understand from there. I think, in that case, it might be something, I don't know if you're, again, like if that might something you might need to go up the higher on the chain for. One, again, it might be one where it's just like, forget you and I'm going to get help somewhere else, right, from the teacher. But also I think I think for every profession, everything else, all teachers need to have some kind of, responsibility to their students, even colleges, universities, like they have their office hours, like they have to make themselves available for students, and teachers at a high school level should also be the same. So I think if the teacher is not providing that, and like I said, there's could be many reasons why, but maybe you need to figure out some ways that you can get some of that time available. And if it's becoming harder than that, then it could be something that's like, hey, I don't need you to learn what I need to learn. To be honest, you don't need the teacher that you need, right? So find the help on your own, get it, and work through it. But I still think that every teacher should be held responsible for making sure that they are available, under circumstantial situations, but under most situations. But yeah, so that time should be available, and I think you just need to maybe go up the ladder if you need to get that help. There we go. Well, you're very welcome. Why do you get dressed up? Well, you showed up late, obviously, but I dressed for success, and I think that was the biggest thing that I wanted to show up for every single day. And again, like one thing I wanted to mention, like it was not. I was actually very happy when I stepped away from a teacher that I was like, oh man, I don't have to wear a dress shirt and dress pants, because I made myself do it every single day. Every single day, I was always wearing dress pants and dress shirts, and so I forced myself to do it. And I was like a little breather. Like I'm like, finally I can stop doing it. Again, this was me, like this was self-inflicted, right? But I really did believe that preparing every day as a professional put me in a different mindset that put me above and that put me in a better way to be a better teacher. And I think everybody can learn from that. I'm not saying you have to wear dress pants or dress attire, but when you put yourself with an intention of making yourself look good, or not just like look good, but like putting attention to detail of like yourself and how you're doing things, then that's going to permeate out to other aspects of your life. And it's not just about like looking good. It's just about like putting the attention and the detail to different aspects of things that might not be as important as what you're actually doing. I was a teacher, but I stepped away from the classroom this year. Were you uncomfortable with the outfits? I wouldn't say I was uncomfortable, but sometimes, I don't know, different pants, different shirts. Sometimes they would be, if you look back some of my other videos, like some would have like really baggy shirts, some of my older ones, I just like used to wear those. But yeah, I don't know. It's, some of them were like, I wore them all the time. And then some of them just didn't really fit right. And yeah, so I wouldn't really say I was uncomfortable, but it was, it was just kind of good to retire some of those clothes. I guess that's the best way I'd say it. No, I do not believe that. I mean, obviously, like, yeah, I don't think every student's going to understand like differential equations. But is everybody student capable? I think we're way more capable of understanding mathematics than what we allow people to kind of believe or be able to do. To have a favorite student. No, I really don't. To have a favorite student, to be honest with you, I have a lot of students that I really enjoyed being in class. There was, of course, a lot of students that I did not enjoy being in class, but I think my favorite aspect of teaching or with students was seeing seeing their growth, and seeing students that have reached back to me, after they've graduated or after I've been their teacher, and thanking me or letting me see like their success and their accomplishments. That's what was the favorite of mine. I mean, I had students that were jokesters, right? I had students that were, always did every single problem I always asked them to do. I had a student that like never got a problem wrong on the test. I have had, students that didn't do any work, but were just like really, really cool students and like, just fun to be around. Right. So it's like, out of 14 years, out of all those students, I mean, there's just so much of variety of everything. It doesn't even make sense to like say this was a favorite student, from there, but I've had a lot of students that have made a lot of good impact on me. I've had students that have died. that have, very much had an impact on me. And yeah, it was a whole crap of a roller coaster, getting to know so many different types of students and personalities, and learning how to teach through so many different types of people and stuff like that. But no, definitely not definitely cannot boil that down to one favorite student or even a group of favorite students, um, but yeah, there's definitely some students that you enjoyed, some you didn't, but again, for different reasons. I always tell people, too, like, I told students, I'm like, hey, I did not enjoy youth, but I've had plenty of students that I did not enjoy, but I was very, we'd be, I'd see them like after they graduated, right? And we'd just laugh and have fun. Like it just was what it was during that time. I never held anything back from a student. I had students that dropped my class, got out of my class, didn't like me, maybe cursed me out. I never felt bad, towards them or anything like that. Like, it was, I never held anything personal, or at least I tried never to take things personal from a student, stuff like that. So that was, that was, I don't know. I always wanted to be approachable from students if they didn't like me or didn't like my teaching style or didn't want to be in my class, whatever else. Hello, fellow camera. Thank you so much for that super chat. You are awesome. Hey man, you math teachers making videos for watching free. Super cool. Thanks, dude. You are very, very welcome. And thank you so much for a super chat. I greatly appreciate that. How many days a week do you have class? Every day of the week? And I still even I record 3 days a week right now, roughly. Do you ever get into altercation? No, not really physical altercation. I've definitely got into shouting matches, had to leave the classroom, have had students leave the classroom, and stuff like that, but never like a physical stuff. I mean, come on, wrestling, rugby coach, mostly. Most students weren't going to test me. And thankfully nowadays you definitely don't even want to be testing or anything like that, but yeah, I was usually, especially in my rugby days, I was always showing up with like bruises and stuff all over my face. Kind of crazy. Not really so much, Mary. I mean, I was decent, but nothing crazy for sure. Probably in high school. I had some really good model teachers in my high school that I just really enjoyed. And so they kind of didn't really, I kind of looked at them as inspiration of becoming a math teacher. I don't know. I think it just depends on where you are in your math journey, for sure. Yes, there was a student that my first year teaching pre-calculus where I was not prepared to teach pre-calculus. And so, but anyways, it wasn't my test. It was another teacher's test that I'd been teaching for years. But yes, this student never got a question wrong on a test. And that was the only time that ever happened. And I had like some of his siblings, years later. And yeah, he was a really, really bright student. I wish I would have had him like once I knew how to like teach better, because he basically just taught the course on his own. I mean, and he just basically learned on his own. I mean, I was there, but I wasn't really a great teacher of pre-calculus at that time. It's like my second or third year teaching in general. So I had a lot to learn as far as teaching upper level kind of mathematics. And so, but yeah, he basically, there's things, I remember there'd be things on the test because it was like another teacher's test. There would be things on the test that I never learned. And I'd be like, oh, well, he knew how to do this problem. I'm like, okay, good. So yeah, very smart son. And thank you, Christy, for that. I had good grades in trig and college algebra, but now I feel like I forgot everything, struggling pre-calculus. Is that normal? Yep, absolutely. Pre-calculus is like the opening of the wound. That's the way I responded to everybody. Like, it really is going to test your skills on what you remember and what you don't remember. So you just got to keep on working and keep on remembering all that stuff. Because yeah, that's definitely what pre-calculus does. No, absolutely not. There is no such, no. It's like saying that is there such thing as like a perfect person? I think the main thing that for anybody, as far as being a student, is, you got to be able to, you got to be like coachable. You got to put in the work. You got to ask questions when and you have to put in the work. You have to ask questions, and you have to be willing to learn and not thinking that, oh, once you know something, like, I'm done, right? You got to be on practicing and everything like that. So that goes for anybody, any student, not just like a math student or anything like that. So in chat, hope the stream is going well. Just finished my Math 9. Awesome. Congrats. Yeah, I definitely recommend taking pre-calculus. I mean, some students, I guess, maybe might be able to get by with it, but I would definitely recommend taking pre-calc. Yeah, I can definitely see that as well. All right, so, oh no. All right, guys, so now let's go ahead and let's get into the math portion, because again, remember, I'm doing a giveaway from last week's live stream. So if you would like to earn some free tutoring, I get the question all the time. Like students like, hey, how can I get some free tutoring? And I'm like, well, on my live streams, you can go to the previous live stream and you can go and type in hashtag math help. And therefore I will draw somebody at 10 o'clock. It looks like we are going to go to 10 o'clock. So then I'll draw somebody at 10 o'clock from there. And then also just a reminder, you guys, the 30-day math challenge is coming up on this, Tuesday, right? Crap. Is it already that fast? Yeah, dang, Tuesday. So on Tuesday, if you want to join, I will send you a free math problem for the next 30 days. And on that, all you guys got to do is go to brianmclogan.com/challenge. It is absolutely free. You can do it for Algebra 1. You can do it for Algebra 2. You can do it for Geometry. You can do it for pre-calculus, and you can do it for calculus. You can do it for all of them if you really want to do, 5 problems every single day. But really, my main goal is for you to pick one class and just try to do a problem. And the next day, I will send you a new problem as well as a video response of a video of me going through that problem. So again, if you forgot how to do it, or you just wanted to see how I approach the problem, then you can go ahead and do it. But every day you will get instant feedback. There will be a Google form that you can go ahead and plug in your answer. So to make sure that you got exactly the correct answer from on there. So I think it's pretty cool. We did it last year, and a lot of students really kind of enjoyed that. That kind of, I think, kind of consistency of doing math more than just when you have your class. And I think that's one of the main things I want students to kind of come away from this is the consistency of preparing and learning math. It's not something you just have to do when you have your class. All right. And anyways, guys, all the questions that I am going to be getting into tonight are from brianmclogan.com/Q&A. So if you do have a question, feel free to join over there. And then if I don't get your questions, or if you still need more help, go ahead and check out the Discord, guys. All the links are in the description. So go ahead and go to the description if you need more links. Otherwise, guys, AT Music, make sure you guys go ahead and type this into last week's live stream. So you literally just have to go to my channel, go to last week's live stream, open it up in a second tab, and then go ahead and type it in as a comment. Chrissy, that was another thing that I also mentioned. I don't think you were on, but yeah, that is also for the pre-calculus live stream. Just go to the link. I opened it up. So that is in the description as well. So yeah, I'm doing the pre-calculus live stream. Algebra 2 I will be doing next week. And again, it's in Google Meet, so it's a little bit more little bit more intimate, so you guys can ask questions and stuff like that. All right, so I want to get these questions done, guys, before 10 o'clock. So I am going to now transfer over to the math portion. But you guys can still keep on fun in the chat. Okay. Shabam. All right. So the student was asking, they're having trouble with the dependent and independent events. So, I mean, this problem really just kind of explains things perfectly, really. I mean, there you go. Okay. So 2 events are independent if the outcome of one event does not, and that's the key thing, does not affect the outcome of the other event. Okay. So, think about when you roll a die or flip a coin. Those are independent events, because when you roll a die, right, and then you roll it again, you always have 1 out of 6 chance for each one of those, right? There's nothing that's impacting them. However, for instance, in this example, when you draw cards out of a deck, if you don't replace that card, it's going to change. So what the probability, let's just say, of drawing 1 card, let's just say the 7 of spades, there's only 1 of them, right? So that'd be 1 out of 52. Well, and then what if you needed to draw another card, right? And let's say you didn't replace it. And I don't know, let's say it's an 8 of spades now. So that'd be 1 out of a 51 because now there's one less cards. So you can see when you do not replace the card, that's changing the amount of the subset that you are, or the, not the subset, but the set of what you are doing. So it's going to change that probability. So that's why this is not, and I'm not sure if the reason why you got this wrong is because maybe these are all statements that you're looking for the one that does not describe two events or two independent events. So since this is, let's see, without replacing the card. So the without replacing the card is kind of that's the big thing. It's like, oh, that's going to change. So here, when you're doing a 6-sided die, that's going to be independent events. Oh, a deck of cards, but look at the card is being replaced. So therefore the set is going to be the same. Oh, well, hey, Addie, good to have you on. And yeah, no worry about that. No worries. I got the link already set up for this one. A game, same thing, a deck of cards, then a coin. So these are completely different events, right? Now you're doing a deck of cards, but again, it's just the probability of deck of cards and then the probability of flip a coin. They have no impact on each other. And here you're doing, again, a coin and a 6-sided die. They have no impact with each other. The next one. So, find the polynomial P. Okay. So, these are the zeros. So, we have x equals a 2 plus 2i. We have x equals -1. We have x equals -1, and we have x equals a 2. Okay, now the reason why I left a little space is because you need to understand complex conjugates. So if I have plus 2i, then I'm also going to have x equals a 2 minus a 2i. All right, so now we have 4 zeros. Now what we need to do is write them as factors to multiply them. So to write them as factors, all we're simply going to do is set them equal to 0. So to do that, I can just basically subtract a 2, subtract a 2i here. So I have an x minus 2 minus a 2i. That's one factor. And then here it's going to be a x minus 2 plus 2i. Here is going to be a x plus 1. And here is going to be an x minus 2. Now, just to be a little math teacher, the reason why I'm doing this, or the way I'm doing it this way, is let's just say I had like x squared minus, I don't know, 4x plus 3 equals 0, right? So if you need to solve this, remember you do x minus 3 times x minus 1, right? Then, since you have a product equal to 0, you could say x minus 3 equals 0 and x minus 1 equals 0. Therefore, you could say x equals 3 and x equals 1. So all I want you to understand is, hopefully you guys understand this method, right? So all I'm really doing is I'm going in the opposite direction. If you're given the zeros, right? And again, like the problem would be like, let's say, here's your zeros, 3 and 1, right? That's basically what they gave us. They gave us the zeros. And then what am I doing? I'm setting them equal to x, and then I'm setting them equal to 0, and that's why I'm writing the factored form equal to 0, right? So basically, I just set these equal to 0 and then wrote them in factored form. But we're not setting them equal to 0. We're setting them equal to p because that's going to be the name of our function. So that's going to be p of x. So let's call that p. Let's call it p of x. Okay, so now we need to multiply these out. Now, a couple different ways we can do these. These two are kind of easy, hopefully, to multiply out because you can just use, FOIL. So this is going to be a x squared, and then what's minus x minus 2. Doing a little math in my head. This one's going to be a little bit more difficult. One thing you can do is use an extra set of parentheses around the x minus 2's. Now, hopefully, you recognize a difference in two squares, a minus b times a plus b. If you don't like this, you can also use the box formula, which I've done on many videos, but I just don't really have time to kind of go over that right now. So therefore, I'm going to do the shortened version. So the reason why this is important, because now you can do your difference of two squares. So x minus 2 quantity squared, and this is going to be a negative 2i times a positive 2i, which would be a negative 4i squared. Now, remember I squared is equal to a -1, right? So remember that. So if I multiply this out, that's going to be a x squared minus a 4x plus 4, and then this is going to be plus 4 times x squared minus x minus 2. So this is a x squared minus 4x plus 8 times a x squared minus x minus 2. Now here you could use distributive property again, or what I actually like to do would just be using the box method. So the box method is basically saying whenever you multiply two terms, you're basically finding the area of a box. So what you can do is then for each term, just kind of create a row and a column. So I can say take 1x squared minus 4x plus 8. Here is an x squared minus x minus 2. Now I just find the length and width of each box. So this is x to the 4th. So negative x cubed, negative 2x squared. And you don't need to do this. You could do this like more in your head, but again, like this organizes everything. That's why I like this. So this would be a negative 4x to the 5th. This would be a positive 4x squared, negative or positive 8x. This would be an 8x squared, negative 8x, and then minus the 16. Okay, and now we can just combine like terms on the diagonal. Why are these? That's a cubed. There you go. All right, so then my final answer is p of x is equal to a x to the 4th minus a 5x cubed, 12 plus a 10x squared. And then there's no 8x, so those went to 0. That's interesting. And then minus 16. And voila, there you go. All right, angles A and B are vertical angles. So we have two vertical angles. So again, vertical angles, remember, are just on opposite ends of intersecting lines. They share a vertex. And it's also important that vertical angles then are equal to each other. So find the measure of both angles. So we have 3x plus 20, and they're also equal to each other. I think I said that. So just set your two angles equal to each other. Now solve for x. So I'll subtract a 3x. Both sides, subtract an 8 on both sides. This is going to be what? 12 equals a 2x. Divide by 2, divide by 2, x equals 6. But again, the question says find the value of the angle. So let's just plug that in. So let's say A, angle A, or actually, sorry, let's do this like this. Measure of angle A is equal to a 3 times 6 plus 20. Well, 3 times 6 is going to be 18, plus 20 is going to be a 38. 38 degrees, right? So again, measure of angle B is 38 degrees, and so therefore that means measure of angle B is also 38 degrees. Two angles are adjacent to each other and form a linear pair, right? So the larger angle measures 5x plus 13, while the smaller angle measures 5x minus 3. Find the measure of the two angles. Okay, so again, we need to understand what is a linear pair. So a linear pair are going to be two angles that are, I think linear pair means they are adjacent. They make up a line. So that's what a linear pair is. So a linear pair makes up a line. I thought linear pair has to be adjacent, but maybe I'm confused or forgot. So therefore, this is going to be A plus B. So now the cool thing here, actually doesn't say that, but the measure of angle A plus the measure of angle B has to equal 180 degrees. So in these two, so I can just write an equation now. I can just say 5x minus 3 plus a 5x plus 13 equals 180 degrees. Okay, so let's go ahead and combine. So we have a 10x plus 10 equals 180. And then minus 10, 10x equals 170. Divide by 10, x equals a 17. Okay, so now we just need to basically plug in a 17 into both of those. 5 times 17 is going to be 50. That's going to be an 85, right? So it doesn't say what the angles are. So I'll do the small angle. Okay, so that's going to be 85 minus 3. Because again, the 5 times 17 is 85, right? Yes. So 85 minus 3 is going to be an 82. And then 85 plus 13 is going to be a 98. And so the large is going to be 98 degrees. And then answer the following word problems. When a flashlight is turned on and the light is emitted hitting the wall, does it represent a ray or a line segment? Well, the light does not go further this direction, and the light does not go further that direction, right? So it has two endpoints. So therefore, I would call this a line segment. Because for it to be a ray, that means it's going to continue indefinitely past a wall, right? Or indefinitely in the other direction, which from a flashlight hitting a ball does not say. So when something has two endpoints, it's going to be a line segment. Why can't I pause that? Oh, hey, thank you so much for your super chat. I greatly appreciate that. Okay, Para, thank you so much. All right. Oh, I forgot. I'm sorry. Did I forget my calculator? Oh no, I got it right here. Okay, so now we're doing a bearing problem. The student didn't tell me. They sent me like 4 of them, so I don't know what problem they wanted me to do, but we'll do one of these. So it says a ship leaves a port A. Okay, so the best thing you're going to want to do whenever you're dealing with bearings or anything like that is go ahead and draw your cardinal signals. Okay, so remember that's north, east, south, west. Okay, so we're going to call this port A. So a ship leaves port A and points port A and steams 15 nautical miles due east. Okay, then it turns and steams 22 nautical miles due north. Okay, so what happens is, oops. So there's east, right? So let's just say it's going to keep on going this way, and then it's going to turn. So whenever you have a turn or a change of direction, create another northeast, southwest. Okay, then it's going to go up what? It says 22. Okay, boom. So now what they want to do is, what is the bearing of the ship to port A? So here's the ship. So here's the ship, right? So again, we got to create though another nautical direction here. Northeast, southwest. Okay, so that's gonna be our ship S. And then here's port A. So they want us to find what is the bearing from the ship to A. Okay, so we want to be able to find what is this bearing. Now again, remember bearings start from due north. And then this one is what is this bearing right here. Okay, now you could also do the bearings from like, you know, from due south in this case, but it just depends on what you've been learning and stuff like that from there. And Dominic, thank you so much for your super chat. I greatly appreciate that. Happy to be able to help you guys out. So let's go ahead and figure out how we're going to do this. Now this side is 15 and this side is 22. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm just going to forget about the bearings for a second. I'm going to say, all right, if I have a right triangle, right, which basically happens here, I have a 15 and I have a 22. Sorry, guys, let me move this over. Okay, how can I be able to figure out what this angle is? And how can I figure out this angle? So theta, let me go and write a relationship for theta. So if I want to figure out theta, I can say the tangent of theta equals opposite over hypotenuse, right? I'm sorry, opposite over adjacent. So therefore theta equals a tangent inverse of 22 over 15. So let's go and figure that out. So use your handy dandy calculator. And let's see, tangent inverse of 22 divided by 15. Oh, I must be in there. Make sure you're in degree mode. I was in radian mode. There you go. And that's going to be 55.71 degrees. Okay. All right. So that's that angle right there. Now, that's important because we'll answer that in a second. That's actually for the other one. Let's figure out what beta is. So beta is, so for beta, I can say the tangent of beta is going to be opposite over adjacent, right? So that's going to equal to a 15 over 22. So beta equals a tangent inverse of a 15 over 22. So tangent inverse of 15 over 22. And therefore, beta is going to equal a 34.29 degrees. Okay, but again, so I found theta and beta, right? Now, those aren't the bearings, though. So if I want to find A says, what is the bearing from the ship to port A? So you got to imagine, like we already know this angle right here is 34.29. And then what do we have to add? We have to add a 180 to it. So to find A, I'm just going to take 180 degrees, right, from due north to due south, plus a 34.29 degrees, which is what I found from the triangle. And so therefore, that is going to equal, that's 214, right? I don't know, my brain hurts. Plus 34.29. Oh, I do have a 214.29, yeah. Right. Come on. And then for B, 55 degrees, but again, we want the bearing from due north, right? So how do we find this angle? If we know this angle is 55.71, we got to subtract it from 90. And I'm not going to do the math in my head because my brain hurts. It'd be 54.29. But just a 34.29. What did I say? 54? I don't know what I did. So anyways, I'll do 90 degrees minus a 55.71, which equals a 34.29. Voila. All right. Question number 4, factor each polynomial using the factor theorem. So I'm not really sure like how you'd factor each one. Like you can use the factor theorem. Basically the factor theorem is, you know, once you have a value K, if you plug that value in, then you can prove that you indeed have a factor. So what you're going to want to do is use the rational zero test to be able to test the different factors from on there, to test our different values to see if they make your function equal to 0. So immediately what I look into is, you know, you can use the rational zero test. I don't have time to go over the whole rational zero test, you know, for you, but you want to be able to find all the possible rational zeros and then you can test them. So for instance, let's do A. So if I plug in a rational zero, so one of the possible rational zeros would be plus or minus 1. So let's go ahead and plug in -1. So when I do that, I get a -1 cubed minus a 5 times -1 squared minus a 22 times -1 minus 16. All right, so that's a -1. That becomes a -5. This becomes a plus 22, and then minus 16. And therefore, you can see that this adds up to a 0. So I can't remember exactly the verbiage on the remainder theorem, but since f of -1 is equal to 0, then x plus 1 is a factor. So what does that mean if that's a factor? Well, what that means is now you can use synthetic division to be able to further factor this down. So we'll take a -1, and then we'll take a 1, -5, -22, -16. Now again, you're only going to want to use synthetic division once you know it's a factor. And again, how do you know if it's a factor? Plug in your potential zeros to see if you get a 0. Do you actually see if the value is equal to 0? Bring down the 1. 1 times -1 is going to be a -1. Let's see, that's going to be -6. -6 times a -1 is going to be a positive 6. Let's see, that's going to be a, that's going to be -6. That'd be, what am I, my brain is, oh my God. That's going to be a -16. And then -16, that's going to be a positive 16, and that's going to go to 0. So therefore, that's my remainder, my constant, my linear. So therefore, I have an x squared minus 6x minus 16. Okay. Then you set that equal to 0, and now you just need to be able to factor this out. Well, this would be x minus 8 times an x plus 2 equals 0. So therefore, I have x. So therefore, it just says factor, right? Factor each polynomial. So now I have that as the factored form. Why am I setting this equal to 0? So now, if I just want to write the factored form of this, that's going to be times, again, what was my original factor, right? X minus 1. So there we go. So now I just further factor that down, and then you're good from there. All right, find the inverse of the function. I've actually never gone through on this, so I'm not sure if my explanation is going to be the best or correct. But what I would, input is going to be in the range. I see. I was looking at this. but that's not going to tell you. I'll have to think about that one. Anyways, let me kind of give you some pointers here, or at least from this problem. So I have to look a little bit more into how this restriction is going to be. But a couple of things I want you to know is first, you should know how to graph this. So it's going to be left 3, 1, 2, 3, down 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. This is going what? Up 1 over 2. So up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2. Okay. So this graph looks something like this. Then we can see there is a restriction, right? So it says this is only true for x's less than -5. Okay. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's an open circle. So that's what you're technically only trying to find the inverse of, okay? Which you see is actually going to be just a, so -5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and -5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I did have that right. Okay, cool. Yeah, all right, cool. I did have that right. Sweet. Okay, so that's only what we're going to be doing, right? Now, the other important thing is, remember, inverses are reflections about the y equals x line, right? So that's going to be actually a line that's going to be going right through on there. Okay, so that's what the graph looks like. That's what reflection is. Now, we do have this x is less than or equal to -5, which is important because that's restricting the graph only to here, right? We're actually not, I'm actually going to change this color. Let's use a blue. Okay. So that's actually the graph we're going to be trying to find the inverse of. All right. Now, there's an important thing for us to understand about this restriction too is also remember, like the domain and range are swapped for a function and its inverse, right? So whatever's in the domain of a function is the range of its inverse. So the reason why I'm telling you this is because I want to figure out what g of -5 is. I want to figure out what that open circle is going to be at. So when you do that, I have a 1/2 times -5 plus 2 minus 6. And guess what? G of -5 is equal to a -5. The reason why that's important is because when I say what is G inverse of -5, guess what that's going to be? -5, right? Now, again, that's just going to be in that open circle. So what that means is, and that makes sense now because that's going to be on the reflection line. So therefore, my graph, my inverse graph is actually going to point from there as well. I'll talk about how that's going to be important here in a second. So now let's go and find the inverse. So again, remember to find the inverse, you replace this, you place your g of x with y, and then you swap the variables. So therefore you have a y equals a 1/2 x plus 3 minus 6. And then I didn't swap the variables. Right. And then let's go ahead and solve for x. So we'll add 6, multiply by 2. So we have a 2. And then x plus 6 equals absolute value of y plus 3. Okay, now we... Was I thinking? No, okay. So now if I want to get rid of my absolute value, now what I simply need to do is just go ahead and take my plus or minus, right? So you got to take the plus or minus on both sides. Or you could set them both equal to as 0 if you wanted to. That's perfectly fine. So you could say... but either way, if I just take my plus or minus, x plus 6 is equal to a y plus 3. Okay, that's going to be the faster way. You could definitely do it to the set it equal to the positive as well as set it equal to the -1. Or you could just do plus or minus. However, now again, here's where it kind of gets into a little bit tricky explanation. Do we really want to find the inverse of both of these, right? Because technically when you think about an absolute value, it's just two equations, two lines going to connecting, right? But we really don't want to care. We don't really care about finding the inverse of this line because it's not even part of our function. We only care about finding the negative slope, like the inverse of this negative slope line. So therefore, I'm only going to work with the 2x plus 6, y plus 3. Okay, then I'll go ahead and distribute. So it's a -2x minus 12 equals a y plus 3. Did I not do that? Oh, crap. Wait a minute. Plus 6, right? Did I do that right? Plus 6. Okay. All right, and then minus 3. All right, so then I can say G inverse of x is equal to a -2x minus a 15. Something doesn't seem right. I have the same slope, but then that'd be negative 15. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Because again, it's like a slope like that, which I guess, yeah, that'd work out because it's going to be a negative down 2 over 1. So, but then we need to have a restriction, right? Because again, this is only going to be restricted when x is going to be greater than a negative 5. So I usually don't take on problems that I haven't done in a while or anything, but I believe that is correct. Hopefully that was helpful for you. All right, guys, it is time to go ahead and do a giveaway. So just a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, if you have not done a giveaway, all you need to do is go to last week's live stream. So you can just go to my channel, go to last week's live stream, and then go ahead and type in the comment, #mathhelp. And then we'll go ahead and do a giveaway because it is 10:05. I'm a little late. Sorry about that. But also just a reminder, if you guys have not joined the math challenge, then make sure you guys go ahead and check out the 30-day math challenge. And I'll give you guys a math problem for 30 days. It's kind of cool. It's free. And also remember, there is a pre-calculus live stream. That is in the link as well. That you guys can go and check that out. So I'll keep those up there. Oh. Thanks, Addie. Yes. What am I trying to do? I forget. Oh, yeah. All right. I need to go to exit full stream. Ooh, got a TikTok picker? Oh, crap. Uh-oh. This is going to be cool. All right. So let's go to my link. For those of you that did not already go to last week. So last week was about the 30-day math challenge link. So again, I will be nice to you guys. No, I will not be nice to you guys. Go to last week's live stream and go ahead and type in #mathhelp. So again, #mathhelp. Go to last week's live stream, which is right here, and then go ahead and type it in. So I'll post the link right here so you guys can see. But there it is. So that's last week's live stream. Go ahead and go in there and then type in #mathhelp. It's night Addie. Okay, and then we're going to go to keyword filter and #mathhelp. No, it is. So no, not a calculator giveaway. This is actually for 30 minutes tutoring with me. So if that could be helpful for you, so yeah, kind of go from there. All right, you guys ready? See how many people we have. We only had 2 comments. This is awesome. So if you're one of the 2, you get to win. Rana, you win. Congratulations. You have entered multiple weeks. I'm so happy you could help out. So go ahead and reach out to me on Discord, or go ahead and reach out to me on Instagram, and I will connect with you about getting you some tutoring. All right. Congratulations, Rona. And guys, it is time for me to head out. Hope you guys have a great week. Best of luck. Hopefully see you guys in the math challenge or on the pre-calc stream. Cheers.